It's an Archaeodeath monthly review with Professor Howard Williams.
Hello Archaeodeathlings, and welcome to my December 2020 roundup, my monthly review. And in doing so, of course, I round up the year of my vlogging and blogging and all things mortuary and memorial. Now, in doing so, I started this is my first year of doing this thing. I've been blogging since 2013, but the video blog started with the lockdown because of circumstances of wanting to record a public conference I was organising, special offer, and it sort of rolled on from there. And I've got a series of playlists which I hope you explore. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing. If you do, please think about subscribing if you haven't, and if you do, you'll find various playlists, public talks and lectures playlist, interviews and conversations playlist, some archaeo hacks, monthly reviews, of which this is the 9th, I think, and then Archaeodeath updates, publication reviews, because I've got quite a few publications in the that I go over, my past publications, some publication launches, some field reports where I get out and about, and also some Archaeodeath debates. And then right at the start, the playlist for the Trevonen special offer Tragical History Tour and the special offer Communities and Offers Dyke Digital Conference. So I've packed quite a lot in to this YouTube channel already. I think there's somewhere 88, 89 videos, up perhaps 90. I've got 315 subscribers, which I think is a lovely number, a niche, exclusive little club of informed archaeology, deathly, memorial type obsessives and enthusiasts. And I just want to use these monthly reviews to go over what I've been doing and also reflect on some broader issues and debates in the archaeology of death and burial and commemoration. So let's kick off the December and annual review simultaneously. Now, since the last monthly review, I've produced 5 videos, despite obviously it being the season of goodwill and cheer and eating mince pies till I drop. We've got the Yale and Off reflecting on statues, naming practices in the Anglo-Welsh borders, which is a presentation I did to the Historic Towns and Villages Forum, which you can now watch. I've also got the What's Archaeology Got to Do with the Walking Dead Part 2, so that you can explore about zombies and mortuary archaeology, looking at the archaeology of a fictional future world in the comic books and the TV show The Walking Dead. I have two publication launches. This is the first time I've been able to do publication launches during the time my video channel's been running, but I've got the Offers Dyke Journal Volume 2. This is an academic peer-reviewed open access journal that I co-edit with doctoral researcher Liam Delaney, and I was very pleased to be able to give a sort of launch of Volume 2 for 2020 out this month. And then I had another publication launch, an edited collection, the Public Archaeologies of Frontiers and Borderlands. We're very proud that came out with Archaeo Press, both to purchase hard copy or to download for free. And so look at that, the descriptor for that video for the download links if you want to explore the archaeology of frontiers and borderlands, but particularly focusing on public engagement, politics and pop culture receptions. And then just coming out today, time of recording, but yesterday I think in terms of time I'm going to put this out, Public Archaeology Arts of Engagement. It's only been out 12 months, and December 2019 saw the publication of my first book with Archaeo Press, a co-edited collection with Afnan Ezeldine and Dr. Caroline Padney, looking at the art archaeology interactions in public engagement and popular culture. So check that out, and also again you can purchase via the Archaeo Press website or download via the link in that video. So that's a quick summary of my YouTube activity for the month of December, leading up to this December and annual review. As for every month of this year of 2020, I've pumped out 15 blog posts in addition on my Archaeodeath blog, and you can just Google Archaeodeath if you haven't found it, or see the links from my social media bios to the Archaeodeath WordPress blog, where there's a sort of rolling program of That means with 15 a month, we're looking at 180 blog posts for 2020, about 1,550 since 2013 for you to explore. Some of them in-depth essays, many of them shorter reviews of site visits, reflections on pop culture, representations in mortuary archaeology, or themes in the interpretation of past mortuary practices and commemorative practices. But whatever, I have quite a back catalogue now of public, open facing discussions of mortuary matters, some of which are proven controversial and some of which I present my critique of other people's work, but mainly it's about sort of my own work, which you can then follow up and read about in academic contexts. But I think it serves as a useful discussion, but also as a platform to sort of explore a whole host of different themes and approaches. Now, in the month of December 2020, my Archaeodeath blog did the book launch for Public Archaeologies and Frontiers and Borderlands, and I just want to quickly, for vanity's sake, take you to that's the lovely front cover, and there's the bio for that first post. I had to get that out there, and that's one of the functions of my blog, is a sort of news update of the things I've been doing. I then put the link to the YouTube channel, back to the YouTube for my video on Offa's watery perspective. This was a presentation I gave to the Chester Landscape History Society. So I did a sort of blog post announcing you can view the YouTube channel, and then of course the launch for Offa's Dyke Journal Volume 2, and there's a lovely front cover with the image created for the Offa's Dyke Association that they've been using to promote walking along Offa's Dyke. We put that on the cover of this second issue. And then we have a blog post reviewing the Yale and Offa talk I told you about, a What's Dyke talk. This is a talk I gave to Holt Local History Society, and I do a little review of my work and thinking about What's Dyke, Britain's third longest linear monument, our second longest early medieval linear monument that runs parallel in crude terms to parts of the northern stretches of Offa's Dyke, from Maesbrook up to in Shropshire up to Basingwork on the Dee estuary. So there's this sort of blog post that review my work there, and then I have some reflections on TV show funerals. So The Walking Dead season 10 and how it represents cremation and inhumation gets a look in, and then Fear the Walking Dead season 4, a very evocative episode where the house and the occupants, the corpses of the occupants and their photographs become a focus of reflection on humanity and mortality and memorialisation. I then look at some real-world funerary archaeology, looking at the Victorian period effigy tomb of Theodore Mansell Talbot in Margam Abbey. It's one of the most evocative and fascinating and disturbing, sort of almost hyper-realistic Victorian effigies, but in a canopy directly inspired by that of a archbishop of the mid-13th century, still visible in York Minster. So this is the York tomb, and this is the 19th century replica that you can go and see in Margam Abbey. So I talk about effigies and their power and the mnemonics of replication and citation to the Middle Ages in the Victorian age. I then have 3 posts that reflect on different aspects of displaying the dead in museums, and this is a common theme running through my blog. I look at death and burial at Caliva, looking at the Reading Museum's displays of mortuary archaeology from the Roman city of Caliva Atrebatum. I then have a post looking at death in Stoke, looking at how one city and regional museum has not only an explicit display on memento mori, death and burial through the ages, but through its many collections from the Staffordshire Hoard, through presentations of prehistoric archaeology from the county of Staffordshire, through to remains from all over the world, from Etruscan, Roman, but also from prehistoric cave deposits, medieval excavations at Halton Abbey, right up to the famous Wedgwood and other ceramics industries, or the potteries, where funerary remains become a part of the material culture. So, and also there's displays of a beer and coffin furniture and other features. So I try and reflect on how one museum, not as a conscious single display, but through multiple displays, interleaving displays, some temporary, some permanent, create a mortuary and memorial environment. And here is another kind of memorial, a memorial vessel created to commemorate the sort of opening of a pottery. So there you are, there's the memorial vessel. So we have this kind of many different interleaving interactions between ancient death and contemporary death through the ages, and in the museum display. And that complements an earlier blog post I did about the Staffordshire Hoard, and it's the Staplin Hill early Anglo-Saxon cemetery remains that are on display in the gallery with the Staffordshire Hoard. Now, the most interesting, perhaps of all, the most well viewed, has been about Viking slavery on display at the National Museum of Ireland, and their choice to juxtapose human remains from Dublin from a non-mortuary context with a slave chain, as they describe it. Although there's caveats, and it's quite clear that there's other ways of interpreting this other than being a slave chain, but it comes from County Roscommon, from a Crannog site, and therefore it isn't from Dublin. So they've juxtaposed these remains to make a point about ancient slavery. And I said, I pose the question and suggest that the ends of trying to shed light on an invisible economic, social, and political dimension of the Viking Age and the wealth of Dublin as a Viking city, at the ends of communicating that otherwise invisible story, are justified by the rather dodgy means of juxtaposing parts of a human body with artefacts that may have had other functions and from other sites. But you read that and see what you think about that issue. It's a very touchy issue at the moment for good and sad reasons. Both. I then review Norseman Season 3, the best, and it seems like going to be the last season of Norseman. I loved it, and you can read what I had to say about it from an archaeologist's perspective. I then take you into the church and look at Neston's early medieval stones and reflect on the display of this wonderful collection of Viking period stone fragments in the church at Neston, St Mary and St Helen on the Wirral, and a replica painted attempt to sort of reconstruct parts of those stones together. So I take you through the stones, tell you what they are, and I also sort of reflect on their heritage display. So that's taking you out of the museum but still dealing with heritage sites. And then I have a post looking at contemporary death rituals and the most traditional form of cremation memorialisation, small grave headstones, very packed together, and I talk about how they are attempting to replicate the traditional inhumation grave in many ways, but they still create a very different sense of space and dynamic of space, and that's something I've picked up on my other blogs and posts and publications. And wrapping up 2020 in terms of blog posts, I do another publication review, and I was very proud and pleased to be asked to write a sort of a discussion or afterword for this wonderful book by Tina Okus and Sanna Lipkin, Entangled Beliefs and Rituals, Religion in Finland and Siapni, from Stone Age to Contemporary Times. Forgive my crap attempts to pronounce people's names and even the title, but anyway, it's downloadable, free. Isn't that great? These academic books coming out and free to download. I hope it enhances both student and amateurs and scholars' ability to access material, but I suspect many of this, I'm very cynical, much of this will be ignored anyway because people don't have the time or the inclination to read this stuff. But I think it's on the you can download my article for free on Entangled Rituals, Death, Place and Archaeological Practice, where I review the contents of the book, in some cases quite critically, but then presents how this research sets a really firm foundation for looking at the complex syncretisms and creolizations between different traditions in ritual practice over the longue durée from prehistory through to the present. I do want to quickly review my TikTok activity, because Archaeodeath is now producing short videos on the social media app TikTok, as well as having a presence on here, on YouTube and on WordPress. And I must say that I've gained another 1,000 followers in the last month. It's really burgeoned. Most posts get 10 to 50 likes. The views is decided by the algorithm, and I can't really control that, but it goes out to 100 to 200, sometimes 300, 400 individuals. But a few posts have gone viral in my sense, or more popular. And I'm doing these videos, very niche videos, comedy or reflections. I'm not expecting them to get lots of views, but I'm very pleased that one of my videos on the Pillar of Elysee has had over 2,000 views and hundreds of likes, at least over 100 likes. I also have had in the last month some very popular posts looking at the issue of the evocation of Hadrian's Wall yet again, thanks to Brexit, thanks to IndieRef, thanks to coronavirus, thanks to the Scottish Government locking down the Scottish border. We've seen more sort of jingoistic and xenophobic uses of the Scottish border equated with Hadrian's Wall. Which is obviously totally wrong, and that got a lot of interest, and I'm able to pump out videos looking at a range of themes and getting to 1,000, 2,000 likes. The Sutton Hoo ship burial and the Fingalsham Man, I'm pleased got well received with my Zoolander take on the Fingalsham Man, but even the videos that only get 200-300 views are getting 40-50 likes, so that's a much bigger audience than ever like my other social media engagements, and that's why it's fun. Pennyclothy Hill Fort and and Vikings. I did a sort of a series of posts on the stereotypes of the Vikings. So a lot of popular stuff as I've been able to do on TikTok this month. As I said, I've gained another 1,000 followers. So with 2,600 followers on TikTok, that's quite a healthy sort of base for which to build a sort of a platform to communicate and to link to YouTube and link to WordPress. So and there's such a goodwill on TikTok. It's there's such a positive vibe, and occasionally get usually men, I imagine, of a certain age and ethnicity and wanting to correct me on things that don't need correcting, or basically pronounce on the things I've just said as if they've come up with them, which is hilarious. But anyway, apart from a few of those kind of clowns, which we find on social media generally, most people have been really gracious and generous, and the comments of, I'm really interested in that site, and where do we learn more, and I can then follow up and give further information. It's really, really positive. And so looking at ancient and modern funerary commemoration and occasional random posts of just some picture of snow, things, it's all building up in a really positive vibe. So TikTok, yay. Do you really want me to review Archaeodeath and reflect more broadly on 2020? I think we probably have everyone's reviewing 2020. From an Archaeodeath perspective, it's been a hard year. It's been a hard year for me and my job. It's been a hard year for public engagement, given that everything's been turned digital. But actually, there's been lots of positive things. I've made so many good friends, good connections on social media. Some real opportunities to communicate my work via TikTok, YouTube, and on my ongoing blog, and also I've had 15 publications out, 15 outputs, 10 of them book chapters, journal articles, the journal itself, the Office Night Journal, and I've got 2 books out, 2 edited collections out in 2020. So it's been really hard for me, my family, for my colleagues, for my students, but I've really worked absolutely to the limit to try and keep on top of some of my commitments to others and get work out. So I can't say I've enjoyed 2020, but I can say that it has. Feel myself very lucky. I'm still in employment. I'm still working away, doing a job I love and doing work I love at communicating the archaeology I think is so important and fascinating to tell us about human stories of mortality and community and heritage, past and its meaning to the present. So I'm very relieved actually about 2020. It was a crap year in many ways, but I'm not going to castigate it as some would, because I've been very lucky and very fortunate, and I'm still glad I'm doing what I'm doing. There's some particularly interesting things have happened of yet that I've reflected on in the last month. I do want to bring to people's attentions on social media. I don't make a big thing about titles, but titles matter, particularly for developing world, global south, individuals in the humanities, for women in the humanities, and social sciences, the title of a doctor or a professor matters. It matters to define your level of expertise and your knowledge and your dedication and your knowledge to a subject area, a specialist subject area. And so, just if you hadn't guessed, I'm reflecting on Dr. Jill Biden and the politics of the US and attempts to sort of denigrate non-STEM academics or medical academics as not having qualifications. Now, just had to say something somewhere that, I ask people to call me professor. Not my students call me Howard. I expect people to call me Howard, to be honest. But bear in mind, just as a courtesy, if it's a first communication, first contact sounds like aliens. Well, academics are a bit like aliens in that sense. At first contact, the use of the title is just a marker of courtesy and respect. So it doesn't matter so much to me, other than that I've been a professor for 11 years and I've earned it. I was one of the youngest professors in the UK. Professor means something different in the UK to elsewhere. It is a mark of a senior scholar, and I got there way before my 40th birthday, and that pisses off a lot of people, but it's true, and it's a recognition by my university and by my peers of the quality and extent of my research, and therefore that title matters. Before that I was doctor, because I worked 3.5 years, nearly 4 years solid on a piece of doctoral research, and I deserve to be given that qualification as much as anybody else. I don't use it when sort of in a public context. Is there a doctor here? Yes. What do you need to who needs an interpretation of early medieval mortuary practice? It's ridiculous. People in popular parlance use doctor to refer to medical doctor, but I do think there is a degree of respect to be given, and less so for me, but for others. Remember that titles do matter. And it's not just about being elitist or snobby. It does matter to respect and reflect on people's expertise. I also want to say I've updated all my Humanities Commons and Academia.edu sites. I'm looking forward to Viking Season 6 Part 2, which is just airing today, I think. I also want to say a couple of things about social media. Having had so much stick for suggesting that the term Anglo-Saxon might not be the main problem with the early Middle Ages, and being denigrated with all sorts of abuse over the last year by a small and very pathetic group of academics and students, it's absolutely hilarious and appropriate that an anti-racist anthem by one of my favourite bands actually of the last 20-25 years, Asian Dub Foundation, does a mashup with a comedy sketch by Stuart Lee, and is in the charts and is on YouTube, called Coming Over Here, which of course reflects on a positive spin on the use of the term Anglo-Saxon in relation to other immigrant groups, and the need for the people in the island of Britain, in the UK, to respect and reflect on the contribution of immigrant communities over the long term, as well as in recent generations, to the nature of our society, and in the context of Brexit and the ongoing xenophobia associated with those debates about Britain's future. I think that the use of the term Anglo-Saxon in that context, in a positive, critical and informed way, is just music to my ears. And I'm wholly behind Asian Dub Foundation and their critical use of the Anglo-Saxon motif and term in that context. And it does play into my points and my academic arguments that this term has many positive engagement potentials, and should not be retired just because a few scholars tell us that this is no longer a term we should use. And it's the ultimate level of elitism and snobbery to bow to a small group of academics who are shouting loudly about retiring a term, when it's a much more complex debate, and there's much more complex public uses of the term in the UK and elsewhere that need to be taken into account. And shame on those who have got behind this lazy, shorthand attempt to display anti-racism without thinking through the academic and the popular implications of their rather blinkered stance. So that's what I would say on that matter. So yay, Asian Dub Foundation, download it, Coming Over Here with Stuart Lee, and enjoy it. It's a brilliant piece of music, actually. I love it. And in addition to that, I would say where am I going in 2021 with this video, with this blog? I'm not sure. Given the scale of vitriol by a minority, but also balanced against the love and goodwill and positive vibes of the majority of my followers, I'm still in two minds about where to take this and what's the best way moving forward. You can probably hear my guinea pigs in the back, Cheese and Pickles. They're making some noise, aren't they? Shh. Where do I go with this in 2021? And it does expose one to a lot of flack of potentially unpredictable. And it's hurtful and it's upsetting, but it's a difficult one. How do I balance this moving forward into 2021? And I haven't made up my mind. I will be doing public lectures. I've got a whole series of digital public lectures going in the first few months. I've got podcasts coming out with History Hack and History A. I've got conference presentations forthcoming. I've got TV appearances I've recorded last year that will be coming out. So you'll be hearing a lot of Professor Howard Williams in 2021. And I've got publication projects coming out: a book on the public archaeology of treasure, cremation in the early Middle Ages, an edited collection of the work of the late Professor Di Morgan Evans. I'm going to be all over the show in terms of public engagement and public academic publications. Do I want to be wasting my time with having to fend off abuse and idiots on social media, though? I don't know if it's really worth my time dealing with that. And so I haven't decided what I'll be doing in 2020, how regularly I'll be blogging, how regularly I'll be vlogging, and how much I'll be doing of this. I think I've made a good start with this video channel and with TikTok and with my blog, and I do a lot more than many, and I will stay doing something, but I reserve the right to change my mind about doing this. I don't owe anyone. No one's paying me to do this, so I can stop at any time. And I must say that that's my attitude moving forward. I haven't decided, and I'm going to play it by ear. And I hope that many of you who understand some of the issues I'm talking about will realise that I'm not dealing with many people who have issues with me, but I'm dealing with a drip of abuse from people who should really grow up and really should learn to realise that I'm on here to educate, to engage, to have positive, constructive communications, not to be the subject of their contrived and bogus narratives. Bad faith actors is the phrase that gets branded around, and mainly by the people who are bad faith actors. But in this case, there's some real horrendous behaviours out there, and I've pulled punches. I haven't called them on it. I haven't shared those things I've seen. I've pulled my punches, and I will keep doing so, because I think some of these individuals have mental health issues. Some of them have never been told that this is not the way to behave, and they need some educating. But I'm not gonna. Most of it's laughable and pathetic, but not worth my time. But it does make me reflect on whether I should be doing what I'm doing, and I will keep doing it. But how and to what extent, I'm going to reserve judgment for the moment. But I do wish you all sincere thanks for following me, sincere thanks for seeing why I'm doing this and trying to engage in this public forum. And I wish you all a very prosperous and successful 2021, and let's hope it's a lot better than 2020 on a personal and academic and global scale in every sense. I really have high hopes for it being a different world, but there's so much going on, isn't there? So thank you. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Keep following me, and I'll try to give you some exciting and interesting content, but I'm reserving judgment of how and when I'll do that. But stay tuned. Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to Howard Williams on YouTube. In addition, consider following the Archaeodeath WordPress blog at howardwilliamsblog.wordpress.com.